For thousands of years, there have been a wide variety of civilizations that have scoured the world on a crusade in search for the ultimate fountain of youth. Some have even thought that they found it, with all its inherent magical powers and benefits of longevity. In reality, throughout these thousands of years, this elusive holy grail of health and long life refused to be found. Perhaps until now. The ancestral urge to extend our natural lifespan has prompted researchers to look within our bodies to the molecular level, as well as to the environment and our surroundings for answers. From the 1500s to the early 1900s, the life expectancy of humanity hovered at about 35 years of age for a variety of reasons. As a result of poor sanitation, poor nutrition, substandard water quality, and the lack of proper health care for rampant diseases. However, by the early 2000s, life expectancy soared to over 75 years in most industrialized countries, with some people living as long as 120 years.
I am a big believer that we can live pretty much almost as long as you'd like to live, well into the hundreds. The way that things have changed since the 1500s is dramatic. We have an understanding through science that we can really live longer lives through the choices that you're making, and that is happening exponentially.
The human is a complex organism. The human body has the potential to live an extended lifespan. We do things that thwart that. We don't exercise, we're sedentary, we smoke, we excessively drink. We do things that fall outside of moderation and other things that ultimately lead to a decrease in that ultimate long capacity to live. There is potential there, and the human body and the human species has that potential to thrive.
Today's research aims to not only extend humanity's lifespan even to 150 or 200 years, but to slow the aging process itself, so people live healthier, not just longer lives. The latter is coined health span.
For thousands of years, everyone's always tried to solve the aging issue. You know, how can we live longer, live not only longer, but healthier lives, right? Nobody wants to live to 110, not being able to move for the last 40 years of their life.
So there's a big distinction between lifespan and health span. Lifespan is how long you're going to live, 80, 90, 100. But health span is actually how you are doing at a given age, which is really important. And now that is really our quest. We're trying to really improve the health span of a patient versus just the lifespan.
Nobody wants to live to be 130 and feel like they're 130. But there are many people who might hope to live to be in their 90s, but feel like they're in their 50s or 60s, and then have a short period of decline, if any, before they die. That's called compression of morbidity.
So what we really want to create with this whole concept of longevity is a life that is rich and vital and dynamic until the end. In fact, ideally, according to Eastern medicine, you would be capable of making love the day before you leave.
People's longevity is obviously related to somewhat their genes, but it's also how you live your life, what you put into your body, what you take out of your body. Longevity is based on a variety of different factors. If we can help that person understand their longevity and how their cells are functioning, I think they can also understand on a scientific basis how they're approaching their whole life and their own health.
So health span really means living as long as you do with vitality and with the ability to lead a full life, We don't just want to live longer, we want to live longer, but with fullness and strength and a dynamic perspective, because we can still enjoy what life has to offer. That is what health span is.
In the United States, this concept was actually pioneered back in the 1950s by the TV celebrity and fitness guru Jack LaLanne. He always told his viewing audience that everyone could be like him.
And a happy Monday morning to you.
My mother watched Jack LaLanne. He would come on the television. He would come on, I think, somewhere around 9 or 10 in the morning, and my mother would sit there with the chair. You know, he would say, "Bring your chair out," and he'd do like squats and, you know, he'd swing his legs. He was an amazing human being, to be quite honest. Jack LaLanne, he was the beginning of that sort of trend towards let's take care of ourselves.
I was privileged to know personally Jack LaLanne because with my father's business in Glendale, California, his first gym was literally several blocks away. And I used to see him. He was in there. He was full of enthusiasm, good attitude about life, and he was careful of everything he ingested.
I have been competing in bodybuilding shows for over 40 years. I started when I was 20, and now I won the over 60 nationals. I was Miss Natural Universe, but I'm 63 years old, and I'm young. I was very lucky in life to be around people like Jack LaLanne at Venice Beach, the stunt director in Hollywood who was doing flips in his 60s. That's what I want to do. Seeing these people, how they were so energetic and so happy, and that's how I portray my life.
Even well into his 90s, LaLanne was still able to perform incredible feats of strength and endurance, serving as a perfect role model for health and fitness.
Jack LaLanne was fanatic about exercise. He didn't engage in any what I call very strenuous exercise, because that can be damaging to the body as well. But he had exercise where he got the blood flow going, that got his mental process going, and that intimate relationship affects everything about your body.
I want to live healthy just like Jack LaLanne did. He helped so many people, and I admired that man. And maybe the younger generation doesn't know about Jack LaLanne, but he was an awesome man. And knowing somebody of that type of power was an awesome feeling, that you can achieve these goals, and that he was in his 90s and he was still quick-witted, still minded and healthy and able to give at such an older age.
The thing about health span and healthiness is it's really not one size fits all for everyone. Everybody has their different pattern into what wellness means for them. All of that leads to a healthier lifestyle, and that leads to health span.
And this is how I think we need to look at lifespan and health span, is that we allow individuals to live up to their full potential of what they want to do. And this is uniquely different for lots of people. For some people, it's sitting on a couch and watching TV all day long. For other people, it's hiking a mountain. And so that's where I think we need to meet people in terms of therapeutic endpoints, is what does health mean to a specific individual?
You got cancer, you got heart disease, you got diabetes, you got Alzheimer's, you got arthritis. I call those the five sisters. They're around everywhere. Everybody accepts them as normal. They're not normal, they're common. They're not supposed to be there. But for the most part, people are getting these things from their environment, outside themselves and inside themselves.
And so this is not just about making somebody live longer. We want them to live longer in a healthier way, so they're not living longer just spending that time in the doctor's office. We want them to live longer in a healthy way at home.
If you look at the human body, our medical expenditures are more than any other nation. Why is it so? Again, because we're spending all this money for the last 15 months or 2 years of life. We're waiting until patients are so decrepit and so ill, you can't do anything at that point. It's too late. So we have to get them younger. We have to get them interested in their health.
The new therapies that I am certain will come, that will change medicine, that will change the economics of health care. That cost for a cancer patient is probably $80,000 to $100,000. You take that away, and our economy will bloom, because you no longer devote such a high proportion of the economy for the chronic care of diseases.
The greatest limiting factor on both humanity's lifespan and health span is the debilitating disease of cancer. Lung cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, colon cancer, and so many other types, along with the toxic radiation and chemotherapy treatments. The human body already has a repair mechanism for removing infections, dangerous microorganisms, and damaged cells. Scavenger cells, known as macrophages, take on the task. They're a type of white blood cell already circulating in the body that recognize the foreign nature of dangerous or damaged cells and consumes or eats them. The notable exception being cancer cells. These most often spread uncontrollably throughout the body and ravage the system. It was just recently discovered that a protein molecule on the surface of cancer cells, called CD47, is interpreted by the scavenger macrophages as a "don't eat me" signal. This seems to be how cancer cells are able to run rampant in the body and destroy healthy tissues without being recognized as foreign and dangerous by the macrophages.
So it gets to eat all of those sick, dangerous, and damaged cells, but not cancer cells, because they turned on the gene for "don't eat me." So we made an antibody that blocks the "don't eat me" signal. And so we put in a little dish human macrophages and human leukemia cells. If we left them together, the macrophages couldn't eat the leukemia cells. We block the "don't eat me" signal with an antibody, they get eaten.
Next came the clinical trials.
We've shown with human cancers that we obtain bladder cancer from urological surgeons, breast cancers, leukemias, lymphomas, that if we put those into mice that don't have immune systems except for macrophages, they can't reject the tumor from growing. If we add the antibody, we've shown in most of them we retard or completely eliminate the growth of the cancer.
So has a cancer treatment finally arrived?
We are moving as fast as we can to get this to patients. So at Stanford, we're doing a trial with this antibody to find a safe dose with people with all kinds of solid cancers.
What this ultimately means is our own bodies could become capable of destroying cancer cells in the same way as it deals with a bacterial infection or the common cold, without dangerous and debilitating treatments that deteriorate the body and the person's health span, and as a byproduct, tremendously increases humanity's lifespan. The aging process itself, including tissue degeneration and overall deterioration, is reflected in symptoms that result from the inability to reproduce cells, regenerate tissues, and rejuvenate the body. The ability to reverse this trend would almost certainly be the closest thing to being a fountain of youth.
Your body is a hybrid of microbes and human cells. That intimate relationship affects everything about your body, because every year your body replaces the 50 trillion cells in your body. And how well it's able to do that is whether you age gracefully or you age badly.
Aging, let's face it, aging is slow, which means that a year from now, 2 years from now, you're only going to be slightly sicker than you are today.
As cells get older, they not only function less well, but ultimately die, because they can only divide a limited number of times before they are replaced and recycled. The key mechanism that limits cell division involves a structure called a telomere. Telomeres move the cell's genetic material in preparation for cell division.
So the telomere is the tip of a chromosome. And that tip of the chromosome is like the tip of a shoelace. You need that tip for the shoelace to function. You need that tip of the chromosome for it to function properly.
Every time a chromosome duplicates itself and the cell divides, the telomeres shorten a bit, almost as a timekeeper or measuring the age of that cell. Eventually, the telomeres become so short, the cell can no longer duplicate itself and function properly.
And that triggers a response that leads to what we call senescence, which is an aged phenotype of the cell. So that telomere length seems to be very important in aging. As we get older, the cells of our body have the telomeres in the cells get shorter.
So a senescent cell is a cell that no longer can go through division process, right? So it is what you would consider a cell that's exhausted its ability to divide. Some people argue that senescence is aging. Aging has different components. There's a passage of time, whereas senescence is the absence of cell division.
Once a cell becomes senescent, or dies, it then secretes a toxic protein to other nearby cells, called senescent secretomes, that begin to degenerate other cells and tissues. The human body has a process of clearing out senescent cells through the normal immune system. However, these immune cells become less active with age. And when this process is overwhelmed, then these kinds of senescent cells that are not cleared out eventually wreak havoc with surrounding healthy cells and contribute to chronic diseases.
So some senescent cells make things that damage the cells around them. So they can kill cells around them, they can cause inflammation in tissues, that is, when tissues become warm and swollen and painful.
Fact is, the body is this really complicated machine. Inevitably, it's going to be accumulating a whole bunch of different types of damage. And we've got to fix them all. Now, of course, there is some interplay between the types of damage, and the magnitude of that interplay is actually not clear.
And they can do damage not only to cells around them, but cells at a great distance. Furthermore, because of the things that they produce, they can cause other cells to become senescent. So they may kill them, or they can cause other cells to become senescent, even at a great distance.
Promising studies of cellular regeneration have been ongoing at the Mayo Clinic using a hypobaric stratospheric chamber previously used in aerospace high-altitude research, which has provided fascinating results with regards to actually adding length to telomeres and preventing cell senescence. This newly developed treatment may well serve as an important factor to truly be able to reverse the aging process of cells and literally put time back on their clock.
So something like stratosphere will stave off these things from happening by keeping people very young, keeping their immune system and their stem cells going. It extends telomeres. We have numbers at 29%. Senescent cells are retarding, which are aging cells, by 37%. And it stimulates an awful lot of other parts of the body that we're in the middle of studying. And I think these studies will just be ongoing forever.
When cells are stressed or become senescent, the secretomes they produce are a main source of inflammation. This occurs because the cells think they're being injured, so the immune system reacts. Inflammation in the body can also be caused by any number of environmental and structural challenges.
And what we're finding is that inflammation is the root cause of any sort of ailment or disease.
A variety of studies have shown that inflammation is an underlying factor for both acute as well as chronic damage from disease states, whether it's cardiovascular disease or from an immediate trauma.
Some inflammation is perfectly healthy in the human body. A cut needs to heal. A toxin needs to be rid from your body. A bacterial infection causes a fever. Acute inflammation is the immediate response to some trauma to the body where there is cell damage and marks the beginning of the repair mechanism kicking in. However, chronic inflammation occurs when the body breaks down and an ongoing inflammatory pathway causes the body to stay in stress and have constant inflammation of tissues.
The problem is when we go from an acute inflammatory response to heal an illness or an injury to a chronic inflammatory response in which the body is continually developing all of those inflammatory patterns. That's when we have trouble. We are not designed to be in a chronic state of inflammation, and many of the serious diseases that we are dealing with now are the result of chronic inflammatory response.
But now, a relatively new field in the medical community called regenerative medicine is finding safer and more efficient ways to deal with inflammation, and as a byproduct has added to the aging reversal and overall longevity research.
So regenerative medicine is the use and study of cells and therapies that come from tissues that we use as graft to try to help regenerate and heal damaged or degenerative tissue in trying to promote the tissue's normal function.
Regenerative therapies involve the injection of substances into the body that send a chemical message to the body to stimulate it to repair tissue. What it will do is stimulate the body to send specific cells that repair tissue into the area. It's using specific chemicals that come from the cells in one's own body to grow tissue and repair damaged tissue, organs, etc.
Regenerative medicine, as it's normally defined, is rather narrower than the range of treatments that are going to be effective against aging. So, in a way, I like to say that the approach that is going to work against aging is simply regenerative medicine, but there are various therapies that are involved in repairing the damage of aging, which would not normally, not classically, be included in regenerative medicine.
So regenerative medicine is a broad term that encompasses a whole host of tissue sources that we are looking for growth factors that trigger a repair or regenerative process.
Regenerative medicine and biologics is the largest area of growth in healthcare that we're going to see over the next 10 years. And there are some people who have estimated that there will be billions and billions of dollars spent in that area.
I think in about 5 to 10 years, regenerative medicine will actually be the norm for primary treatment for a lot of ailments, not just sports-related or connective tissue-related, but people who have heart disease, people who have Parkinson's. I think patients will benefit across the board, and I think in 5 to 10 years, we're going to see this as a primary mode of treatment.
Regenerative medicine looks at the body's own ability to regenerate, rejuvenate, and repair itself holistically, rather than looking for a medicine to fix a symptom without looking at the root cause. The goal of regenerative and anti-aging medicine is to optimize longevity and to enhance the quality of life. The most prominent and promising area of regenerative medicine and aging reversal is stem cell therapy.
Stem cells are cells which, when they divide to give rise to 2 daughter cells, one of them on average is still a stem cell, while the other one is going to make the tissue. The property of making one of yourself is called self-renewal. The only cells in the body that have self-renewal are stem cells.
With a stem cell therapy or treatment, we actually take stem cells from bone marrow and or adipose and inject those stem cells directly into the site of damaged tissue. That when re-injected into a damaged tissue organ can help promote healing almost tenfold and try to regenerate healthy tissue.
So over the years, we have tried to move our discoveries in stem cells into therapeutics. We have gone through many, many potential uses to cure severe combined immunodeficiency, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, autoimmune diseases, and the human brain stem cells for spinal cord injury, blindness of aging, macular degeneration, and congenital diseases, and looks good so far.
And so this is about targeting specific cellular and acellular therapies in the regenerative world to treat conditions that can be repaired in a natural way.
The FDA has not yet approved stem cell therapy for longevity or anti-aging applications, but it does recognize a research venue known as frailty. New research using donated cultured stem cells from umbilical cords and placental tissues shows excellent regenerative and anti-aging results when injected into seniors.
So the question is, how long will it take before an idea, which became a discovery, becomes a real therapy? 10 years from now, I expect we will have significant therapies for many cancers and many genetic diseases through stem cell therapies and molecules or antibodies that were discovered because we could get out the stem cells.
Along with these newborn stem cells, called mesenchymal stem cells, researchers have learned that small bubbles or sacs found outside stem cells in the amniotic fluids surrounding a newborn infant, known as exosomes, can also aid in regenerating tissues.
What's really exciting is that medical evolution is moving at a breakneck speed, and we're getting these new tissues that we haven't been able to use before, and they're derived from a natural source. They're derived from pregnancy. Usually these tissues are discarded, they're considered waste, but what we're able to find is that there are actually growth factors and exosomes and extracellular matrix within these tissues that we can use therapeutically.
So that bubble or little vesicle contains thousands of growth factors. We harvest those growth factors, we harvest those little bubbles or exosomes. These chemicals signal the body. They send chemical messages which stimulate certain healing processes so that the body can grow tissue and heal damaged tissue.
We saw that if you take a conditioned medium from these mesenchymal stem cells and you remove the exosome, you no longer have the therapeutic effect. So that's why now you're looking both the cell therapy aspect, but also this subcellular nanoparticle therapy as a potential role in anti-aging or health span medicine.
So it's a natural source that's very high in growth factors and everything the body needs to be able to learn how to repair itself.
In addition to exosomes and other bodily fluids that have proven useful in aging reversal, there's Wharton's jelly, the gelatinous substance that surrounds, cushions, insulates, protects, and provides structural support to the blood vessels of the umbilical cord. It was once thought of as insulation material only and discarded as waste. However, the growth factors in Wharton's jelly secretes proteins with anti-inflammatory properties. Many studies have already shown that it can be used as a useful agent in regenerative medicine, with excellent results in research conducted so far.
And so what we're able to do now is take those extracellular vesicles and inject them into the skin, and they release all of the growth factors and all of the fetal collagens that the baby was making and using, but they're able to then insert themselves into the adult cells and start making all those fetal proteins and growth factors again. So what we think we're going to see as the field evolves, we could actually activate the young program of healing, the young program of aging, and actually start to see some real results in an anti-aging perspective.
Hormones, or the lack thereof, are also linked to aging. As the body's chemical messengers, hormones send signals throughout the body via the bloodstream. They help control how efficiently cells do their work.
The levels of hormones that you produce in your body determines the health of your body and aging in general. So when we're in our teens and we have the highest levels of hormones in our body, it's kind of like the pinnacle of our youth. And as we age, after we reach 20 and 30, those hormone levels start to decline.
Hormones are an incredibly huge issue to the aging process, to aging well. The problem is our environment is so hard on us. There's so many reasons why our hormone levels aren't as high as they should be as we get older. But that is going to shift, and it will have a lot to do with your lifestyle choices.
Hormone levels in the human body normally decline as the human body ages and as hormone production becomes less efficient. All internal organs have hormone receptors that react to its presence or absence. If hormonal balance is off, the body's cells get stressed, causing a tremendous increase in aging and cancers.
So maintaining your hormone levels or increasing your levels of hormones is what's going to keep you young and help to reverse, this whole aging process.
All our internal organs, the brain, the heart, the bone, they all have receptors for hormones. So it means that hormones, the functions of hormones is important for all our internal organs' health. And if we bring our hormones levels to what we call not a normal level, but to an optimal level, we are actually able to prevent many age-related diseases.
Hormones, I think, is such an important part of anti-aging, and it's a newer genre of medicine that we're seeing now in terms of seeing the best results in keeping us young. I would start with the hormones.
Okay, with hormones, it's tricky because hormones are really, really important. We can really change people's life in terms of quality of everyday life and in terms of preventing age-related disease. But too much of an hormone, it's not good. Too little, it's not good. So we need to find the perfect balance for that patient.
People have typically approached a particular disease state from more of a generalized view for including all patients together. And we really want to go and move that further for individualized treatments. So in terms of what we call a personalized approach or more of a precision medicine approach can really be found by understanding what's happening not only at the genomic level, but also what are the environmental factors on the individuals.
So all these hormones, they work very well together with other strategies because we want people to have strong muscles, strong bone, sharp brain, healthy cardiovascular system, and together with all these other treatments, they also need hormones in order to keep them in a good health and prevent age-related disease.
And so where precision medicine comes in is it takes sort of this group data that we can create in a profile, but then it gives you a personalized individual look at who you are in reference to this larger group. And this is where I think the holy grail of personalized medicine is to take an individual, break them up into their individual different parts that we can study, and then give that individual feedback on how to grow and live as a whole organism.
His is almost.
Anti-aging efforts in Eastern medicine also focus on homeostasis, or keeping the body in perfect hormonal balance and viewing longevity holistically. The very first Chinese emperor, who unified all of China almost 2,500 years ago, Qin Shi Huang, created this concept of increasing the longevity and even immortality for royals in the Asian culture. He made his alchemists and court physicians to produce an elixir of immortality, which unfortunately contained a lethal amount of mercury that instantly killed the emperor upon ingesting it.
He was looking for the magic elixir. He was looking for that which would extend his life. And throughout the history of royalty and nobility in Asia, we have people who are striving, physicians who are hunting, who are searching, who are creating these herbal formulas, dietary formulas, lifestyle adjustments, love-making practices, all of which are designed to keep royalty and nobility living a long and healthy life.
The entire concept of ancient Chinese philosophy is based on the yin and yang, which describes how opposite or contrary forces may actually be complementary and interdependent in the natural world in order to increase longevity.
You exchange energy back and forth, you know, the yin and the yang, you know, men are more fire, women are more water, and the combination of the two of the going back and forth, and the sort of mystery or the ongoing play of God, if you will, you know, we'll never ever figure out the other person, but we're always trying to throughout the entire process.
My professional ancestors, the physicians of Asia over the last several thousand years, they were all working to find lifestyle protocols and spiritual practices and breathing exercises and movement exercises and patterns and systems of recovery for the human body that would allow for this rich, long life. So if you are striving to have a long life, it's because you want to fulfill your destiny.
This concept of staying in balance gets special meaning from not only recent studies on environmental factors and cellular structures of the body, but even on basic posture and its direct relationship to aging.
Posture dictates function, and so if you have postural imbalances, for example, it affects your joints, your blood flow, your nervous system, your lymphatic system, you name it. Everything in the body is affected by these postural imbalances. And it's well known that circulation is a key to anti-aging.
Even a slight imbalance of the body structure, such as poor posture caused by sustained muscular contraction and scar formation, is now known to create external compressive forces on the neurovascular system, the internal organs, and the joints. This cascade effect hastens the wear and tear of the body's tissues and adds to the aging process by reinforcing a chronic inflammation.
So inflammation is the body's repair mechanism. So it goes in and it cleans up foreign pathogens, invaders. It also repairs injury, damaged tissue. And so when you have these postural imbalances and the sustained muscular contraction and reduced circulation, it's causing your body to work very hard.
So postural imbalances, they compress the muscular system, the joints, the internal organs. And that's what I believe leads to the effects of aging and disease.
Her thing is so gentle, and it's activating the body's ability to take care of itself. That's what I think so extraordinary. And I'm a big believer that anything that you do that activates your own body's ability to heal, to expand, to get better, that's key and powerful.
If you improve someone's structure, you improve their function and ultimately their overall health.
A consensus of the research to date indicates the longevity potential of the human body in general is already quite capable of a lifespan well into the hundreds, and with an equally successful health span.
So my belief is that we are meant to live long lives. It's that we have been programmed by society to believe that, oh my gosh, I'm 65, I've got to retire now, and I'm 50, now I'm starting to get aches and pains, so, you know, I better slow down.
If we talk about longevity, I have to go to the father of the longevity concept. That's Dr. Ilya Mechnikov, who was in the Pasteur Institute. And at the turn of the century, he was fascinated why the people in the Balkans, especially Bulgaria, lived to be 100 and were healthy, didn't manifest any disease, and when they died in their sleep.
People who live longer, who live in what we call the blue zones. We now know that there are pockets of people living in the world around the planet who live longer and healthier than in other parts of the world. And scientists have been researching what are the factors that would allow the human body to live longer and to function longer.
We just have to emulate their practices. I have studied cultures across the world, and I have found there's one thing that's unique about all of them. First, they have a very simple lifestyle. They had a great social structure. They ate fresh foods and vegetables and meats that were locally grown. They always had a fermented food in their diet. And they had a very loving family and that social interaction which causes for good health and good attitude.
One of the things we like to say, and we got this from somebody years ago, you take the I out of illness, replace it with we, you have wellness.
And wellness is a community. That means we.
Yeah,
we come together to create a better, healthier community.
Yeah, and we, this is a we that expands out to community, which would be friends and family and everybody around us. Pretty profound.
I'm 60 years old, and I truly believe I'm at the beginning of my life. I just feel like, oh my God, I just see the world as I'm still moving forward. I still want to achieve things. I'm passionate about things. I don't believe in aging per se. I believe in the wisdom that comes through the chronological years that come to your life.
This is an exciting aspect of where I see the future of medicine going, because the focus of it is really on helping you feel better, giving you more energy. It doesn't focus on, okay, can we extend your life for another 20 years? It focuses on, like, let's improve your quality of life today. What can we do to make you feel better, to give you more energy, to help you heal if you get an injury, or help you treat a disease that you're experiencing at the time.
Yes, it's only a matter of time before we bring aging under real medical control. Aging is a medical problem, and furthermore a medical problem that we are within striking distance of bringing under control, of solving. Ultimately, research takes money, money takes enthusiasm, enthusiasm takes understanding. If that understanding can be improved, doesn't have to be the whole of society, just a critical mass of society, then the research will get done a lot faster and a huge number of lives will be saved, and it might be your life.
100 years ago, drug development started, and then there were antibodies, biologicals, and now we're on the cusp of this entire wave of regenerative medicine and being able to actually cure the patient rather than medicating or treating the patient. I often think about if we are able with regenerative medicine to cure Parkinson's and stop cancer, will everybody live to 120?
I do believe that the potential to live longer is certainly there. I think most people should be able to live past the age of 100, but not unless we change the paradigm. We have to change the medical paradigm. We cannot wait for medical problems to happen. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, these are all degenerative life changes. Once you get to that point, then we're kind of like working in arrears. So the potential is clearly there.
And so that's my vision for the future. Can we cure every ailment that's hurting and killing people? And then what does society do? That's the question. Do we have room and resources? And it's just, we're really at the cusp of a brave new world.
By 2050, scientists are saying that you could choose to live to 300. I mean, it sounds kind of overwhelming and like awe-inspiring, but I truly believe that we are on the precipice of really understanding how the body, the energy of the earth works, and how they are in concert with one another.
Longevity will not be achieved via a soul elixir or a single one-time shot that many of our ancestors believed. Rather, enhancing a person's health while reversing the body's aging is an intertwining process of a healthy lifestyle, regenerative medicine, and an overall balance of life, where the human body is made cumulatively more resilient and can even more efficiently resist and deal with diseases and stressors in this ever-changing environment we live in.
It's very difficult to think that a single magic bullet can resolve a problem so complex like the aging of an organism or immunointervention. In my clinical experience, most of the successful strategy has been combination strategy. For more complex situations, it will take an integrated combination approach.
A lot of the interventions that will increase health span and longevity are things that require diet, exercise, and healthy sort of lifestyles. That then is really a core part of who you are rather than sort of a formulaic aspect of health span. How do we change the mindset of individuals to then make this a core part of who they are, what they are, and how they live?
You have to look at the simple things that you do in your life and decide, if I want to live a longer, healthier, happier life, I have to take responsibility for it, and I have to find the solutions that work for me. You will have to figure it out. But I always say, be excited about the journey, because this life is a gift.
We believe over the next several years, precision medicine is going to be on the forefront of healthcare treatment. You know, if you have the ability to identify what your body is doing, you know, we can target medication and treatment regimens that are going to be specific to you, and that is the future of healthcare.
So in terms of precision medicine, it's a relatively new term that allows us to describe how you look at the interplay between a genomic risk factor as well as what's happening in the environment and how that's causing changes in cellular function. And that would allow you then to tailor individualized treatments for that patient.
I look at Father Time and I'm like, okay, Father Time's undefeated. Nobody gets out here alive, right? But we could take Father Time into the later rounds. Back in the old days, boxers used to fight 25, 26, 27 rounds. We're fighting like 12, 13 rounds right now, so let's take it 27. That means we go from 75 years old to 150, to 200, to 250, to 300, because why not?
If you think about it, the difference between thinking you're going to live to 80 and thinking you're going to live indefinitely, even if the therapies to make that happen have not yet come to pass, but you think they're going to come in time for you, the difference is rather major in terms of big ticket items that you spend money on, like your pension or your life insurance or your health insurance or inheritance related things. You know, the effect on the economy is going to be complete fucking pandemonium overnight.
That's what's so wonderful when you do meet people that, you know, grow very, very old, and all of a sudden, you know, and you speak to them and they're, you know, they're with it, they're on it, they're excited by life and letting go of those belief systems that kept you trapped in thinking that you have to fall apart, that, you know, you're only going to live till 80 or whatever it is.
I'm working with people that are in their 90s. I had a 97-year-old that I would go to his house and drag him out of bed and exercise. So my gift to the world is that I'm able to be a role model at any age. When I started working with Mr. Lucky, he was in his 80s and competed at 90. Mr. Lucky, who was in his 90s, he got up on stage. He was the oldest guy at Venice Beach to pose at that time.
Okay. That's a go. Yeah, you ain't no 88. This man. Any age. You gotta go. Let me see that arm again. Any age. He's got it.
In the field of anti-aging, longevity, personalized precision medicine, and the ever-growing attention to health span, the pure science at hand does seem to be telling us that it really is true. An even longer and healthier life is already upon us, and the best is yet to come.